What's up, everybody? Welcome to another NomadSculpt video. We have another video going over the lighting features that I talked about in my last video. I wanted to go, excuse me, a little bit more in depth on what we can do, what are the limitations, and then I'm going to go over what I would like to see further on from any updates that the developer might do. Again, if you guys enjoy this content, please like and subscribe, and any comments or questions you guys have, leave them in the comments below. I love hearing from you, and I know you guys have been asking me for more full sculpts from start to finish, and now with the new lighting setup. So let's get this video to 1,000 likes, and if you do that, I will get you guys out that mini course from start to finish, sculpting and rendering. Walk through. It'll be a mini course for you guys here, free on YouTube. So if you guys can help me with that, hit 1,000 likes, I will get that out to you. Let's get to the video, and I hope you guys enjoy. So before we start with the video, I want to go over a quick website. This is not sponsored, by the way. Disclaimer, not sponsored. If you guys are looking for any HDRI maps that you need to something different that's not inside of NomadSculpt already, head over to HDRIHaven.com. And it's a free website. You can download free HDR maps and customize your scenes a little bit more. It's really simple. Just go to the website, click on the HDRI that you want. There should be an option to download in different sizes. And after you download them, you'll just bring them back into NomadSculpt and just load up that HDR file inside of NomadSculpt. And what's awesome is that once you do, NomadSculpt should save them inside of your default library for your HDR maps. So again, HDRIHaven.com. It is free. And again, this is not sponsored. I just thought I'd share that with you guys. All right, everybody. So now we are back in NomadSculpt. I am just importing the HDRI maps that I got from HDRIHaven.com. As you can see, it's changing the scene around. And so one thing we already had with lighting inside of NomadSculpt was HDRI maps, and now that gives you a nice base lighting. Doesn't give you any shadows really. It gives you an overall, like, I would say, global type of lighting on your objects. As you can see, we're having the reflections, the different colors from the exposure of the HDR map, but there isn't really any shadows that are coming across it. So what now you have in the new update of NomadSculpt is we actually have lights. We actually have lights that you can bring in and place them down, and they'll start casting shadows, and that's a huge step forward from what we had before. Because I used to like to render my images out with matte caps, but now with the new lighting, I'm preferring to use the PBR method in NomadSculpt because now it doesn't look so flat. But with these lights, they're only directional lights. So instead of it being able to change the size or depending how close or far it is from an object, doesn't matter where you're pointing or angling your light from, it's always going to be the same strength across the board. It's not going to change anything. So it is only a directional light right now. There is no other lights, and I'm going to talk about that later. But I mean, for the beginning, I think it's great. I think it's a great start. It isn't affecting any opacity or transparent materials when you play with the opacity on materials inside your objects, but that's fine. I mean, we can still get nice reflections from the HDRI map and the light itself, but there's not going to be any shadows casted through transparent objects. You do have intensity, so how strong the light is. You can adjust the color. We also have shadow bias. This is basically so that there's no artifacting on the shadow. The dev just recommends always having it full blast. Don't worry about keeping it lower. I can't really tell too much of a difference, but if you guys can, please leave them in the comments below and let me know what you guys see. But I can't really tell the difference between the two. Right here, because we do have and are stuck with directional lights, I thought it'd be an interesting way when you guys are setting up your scenes, think of actually having physical objects to cast shadows or make certain light frames for your objects. So the simplest explanation is when you see light coming through a window and you have blinds, and the blinds are making this, the rectangular patterns of the blinds down the wall or whatever you're looking at. I think it's something that you can have fun with and get creative with when you're doing your renders and making it feel that your character is more grounded in reality or grounded in the scene. So that's why I'm blocking, you know, these just base shapes out in there, just to show you guys that yes, the directional lighting will affect those objects too, and you can just set them off outside of your render area, and then you can get some cool unique looks. So we're adding in a second light, and again, I'm just messing around, seeing how intense things will show up. It seems that, you know, the shadows are really gonna show from either light, and this is where, again, I'm gonna talk more about what I wish we could have in further updates on the lighting system. But yeah, I mean, you can get some really cool, you know, 2 to 3 light, even single light setups. I've only used really 3 lights in here, and it still runs great. I don't really know how many more lights we can put in here before it starts boggling the program down. But I usually always go with the 3 light setup, so you can see me making that here. And that's pretty much for the lighting. The outside of it having the intensity shadow bias being fixed or attached to your camera, and the colors, that's pretty much all you can do with it. Then we also have the post-processing. So right now I'm gonna start post-processing things in a moment. Like I said, I'm just building out the scene with different objects to kind of, you know, frame my objects in a certain way. The biggest things for me that the developer added in these was the screen space reflections. That really adds a lot, because then you can start seeing, you know, the different colors bounce off reflective materials on your object, and then the light, you can see where the lights are casting from. So it just adds another layer of realism onto your renders, and it looks really nice. I don't really have anything too much to complain about it. I think where it's at is a great spot. I don't think we're going to be seeing any ray tracing anytime soon on these tablets. It might still be like a year or 2 away. But the next biggest thing was the AO. The AO really definitely grounds your objects in reality. The quickest way I can explain this is that ambient occlusion, or AO, is basically the soft shadows where light does not pass any longer. So when an object is sitting on the ground, that harsh or soft dark shadow that's just slightly showing up underneath an object, that's ambient occlusion. What is it that I would like to see from further updates from NomadSculpt? As far as I'm aware of, with this lighting setup, it's great. It's a big change, but I really would think new light types would make a difference, a huge difference in our lighting in NomadSculpt. So things like area lights, spotlights, pin lights, and because right now we have a directional light, so we don't need that one, but the other 3 would be nice. They would be able to change a lot of things with the settings and how the lighting actually looks, and how it's a little bit more targeted than overall just in one direction. Next thing would be light adjustments or light sizes. This allows you to have a softer or harsher light. So smaller lights would give you a harsher shadow, or bigger lights would give you a smaller, or not smaller, but softer shadow. And then following that, I think emissive materials are something that's really needed. It's going to really take the materials to another level now that we have a actual lighting system in here, that we can also have another source of light coming from objects that we may have being slightly emitting light from them, like a lantern or glowing eyes, effects like that. And I think a few other things we would probably need is volumetrics to get like light shafts, some nice lighting and fog, making it look like it's foggy, or just some atmosphere to your renders. I don't know how hard it would be to do that, but I think volumetrics would help out a lot. And then, of course, if possible, some type of GI probe, some global illumination, to make all the lighting connect more and feel a lot more grounded and a lot more set in reality. But again, I don't know how far you can push NomadSculpt or the rendering inside of the iPad processor, and still keep it, you know, pretty friendly for multiple devices along the spectrum. But either way, these are things I would like to see from NomadSculpt in later future iterations of the updates when it comes to lighting. But that's it for this video, guys. Thank you again for watching. So whenever, wherever you are watching this at, have a good day, Have a good night. Have a wonderful weekend, weekday. I will talk to you later. Peace.